Hello everyone and welcome back to another live spoiler discussion for Daredevil Born Again. Sorry if I seem a little bit off. I've just been, it's late. They did 2 episodes today. Lots of fun stuff to talk about, so we're just trying to get through everything and have a good show, which is what I plan on doing with you guys. This is for episodes 5 and 6 of Daredevil Born Again, so obviously, if you have not seen Daredevil Born Again, please go watch them and come back because we're going to be diving into full spoilers over the course of these 2 episodes. And I've given my warnings. I've done it all. Now let's dive in to the actual episodes, shall we? So, first off, I want to say that episode 5, while I don't think it's a particularly bad episode, I still enjoy it. It is my least favorite episode of the season, and I have seen the entire season. You can watch the review for the whole season on the channel. And it's one of those things where you can tell it's a product of the older regime, or not the older regime rather, but the older version of the show that they were doing. And Brandon Davis actually just posted an interview with the director of the episode where he says, to his knowledge, it's one of the few completely untouched things of the previous time they started shooting, which makes sense. And I enjoy most of what we saw. I just think from where the episode 4 ended to where we pick up in episode 6, this episode being placed in between them just felt very odd, and it was kind of a momentum killer. It makes perfect sense why they dropped 5 and 6 at the same time, because a lot of people who were watching 4, myself included, wanted to get that satisfied by this week. You know, if we just got 5 and had to wait another week for that resolution, that would have been very upsetting as as fans, as people watching. When I first started binging the show, when I got my screeners for it, I actually took a break after episode 5, and I was upset that I didn't get to follow up on where episode 6 picked up right away. And then when I looked at the release schedule, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense why they're doing that. So with that being said, though, I do still like the episode. We get an appearance from Yusuf Khan, Miss Marvel's father, and that actor has always done a really great job playing the character. It was nice to see him pop up. I think the chemistry with Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock was very interesting. The Irish leader of the 5 families that we've seen from the pilot episode on shows up to rob the bank that they're in. And I love that Matt leaves and comes back because he's, trying not to let the devil out, as they say. But obviously he doesn't do a great job of preventing that from happening to our happiness. I do love that there was some what seems like ADR that was added to clarify that his mother isn't dead, because they make a joke about him being an orphan earlier in the episode, and he's like, there's an ADR line where his lips are off camera, and Matt says, well, my father died, but I met my mother way later in life, and it just felt funny to kind of connect it to the Netflix show in that way. I also think that the second fight scene in the alleyway, when he just fucks that dude up, was awesome. And I think the use of not having really any music, but just the sound effects, I thought was a lot more effective in that sequence than it was in the first fight sequence, which I'll get to in a moment. But essentially, that fight sequence where he's just messing him up, breaks his face on the fucking glass, completely shatters any idea of a bone in his leg, just gone. And, that was obviously very thrilling and exciting to see. I like that he kind of took his blind cane, and at least it seemed like he split the blind cane in half and fought with it, because in some of the comic iterations, his blind cane acted as his billy club as well, so it was cool to kind of see a version of that. Regarding like the rest of the actual episode, the first fight scene I didn't love. I did like the idea of Matt catching the shotgun before it could make noise, and I understand that the whole purpose of the scene was to make as little noise as possible, so they drained the music just to have the fight, but the music was such a build-up to the moment of the fight that it being drained, to me, didn't quite work for that first fight scene in the stairwell, and I thought that the choreography was a lot less sound than the choreography later. And this was, shot obviously before Phil Cervera came on, so it doesn't compare at all to the action that we see in the following episode, which I'll get to in a minute. But I liked how Matt could use his hearing to crack the safe in the bank. That's something that we saw a smaller scale, version of in season 3 of Daredevil, when him and Agent Nadeem are trying to break into Dex's safe in his house. It was cool to see a bigger scale version of that. I loved Kamala's dad trying to distract the guy, because Matt told him to, like, hey, just stall as long as you can and then I'll be there. And him just like talking about like the history of the bank and the year it was built and all the details I did find really funny. I like the small little twist that there was somebody within the bank who was working with them that gets revealed at the end of the episode. I thought that was very cool. I also liked how Matt was just being just a cocky piece of shit. Like whenever they're talking to him and he's like, if you kill somebody, your robbery charge goes to a felony murder. It's 25 to life. Yeah, you don't want to do that. And he calls him a solicitor at first. And then later on, when they need 2 hostages to leave as a sign of good faith, and they first ask Matt to leave, but he obviously can't leave because of his plan to stay and help out, so he convinces him to let the husband go. I love the back and forth that they had through that interaction. I thought that was good. It was also nice to see the character that Cherry's old partner before he retired, the cop. We've seen her pop up a couple times. The character's name is leaving me, and I'm sorry for that. If you are in the live chat, let me know what the character's name is, and I will say it. But it was nice to see her pop up again. I think she's a good character, even though they didn't really give her much to do in the episode. And I also want to know if I missed something, because it looked like she was talking to the main bank robber on speaker outside. I didn't see headphones. Maybe if she had a headphone in or an AirPod or something, obviously that scene works and there's no complaints. But when she was holding it, it looked like she was on speaker, and I'm like, there's no way that guy can clearly hear what she's saying. They're in New York City. That shit's loud, and it's St. Patty's Day. There's got to be stuff going on. I just thought that was funny. I also liked how these damn thumbs up, that I got to figure out how to turn that off. But I also liked how Matt would almost try to comfort Yusuf in a way, because you can tell when they get to the safe and he's like, we have 1 key, there's a 4, and there's over 1,000 ones that we can try out. All I know is that it has a 4 in it, and Matt just kind of taps his back and is like, you're doing great. Just you could tell he's getting a bit impatient because he obviously has a timeline with the cops and everything coming. And, it was an interesting bottle episode. And I don't know if I love the concept of Daredevil having bottle episodes, but with that being said, that's just because I'm used to the Netflix series where a lot of it would be connected in a story way. But even then, the Netflix series had bottle episodes. They had bottle episodes that I loved. I love the episode of season 1 when him and the Russian that he's trying to get information from are stuck in that building, and the cops are trying to go in and arrest both of them. But at least in that episode, you had him talking to Fisk for the first time on the walkie-talkies. And you at least had something like that. This episode, I didn't feel like it had a whole lot of big story moments other than Matt, once again acting and relapsing, if you will, on his addiction to violence, which I kind of like how that's portrayed both in the second episode and in this episode. And I think it's well done in that regard, and I think that that's the only big story beat that you can kind of take away from the episode to continue. And the episode obviously being referenced in episode 6, which I'll kind of move into now, where Heather talks to him and she says, hey, you were just held up in a bank, are you all right? And he's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. I knew I was going to make it out through faith. And she was like, kind of looked at him weird, fucking, all right, whatever. Her as a therapist, I'm sure didn't just love the candid nature of that answer. But something else too is I really love episode 6. I think episode 6 is excellent. From an NCU standpoint, we had Yusuf Khan, episode 5. In this episode, you get Swordsman, played by Tony Dalton. You just get him briefly when he talks to Fisk at that gala. And even then, in their brief interaction, I thought that his performance was really good. You can tell him and Fisk don't get along, as we saw even at the end of Hawkeye. And I think that it was one of those things where I thought that was a well-done version of introducing, bringing some more MCU characters back into it. I love the beginning when Matt is praying, because it's been a while since we've seen him kind of act on that Catholic side of him, when he was praying and he's holding Foggy's funeral card and he actually kisses it, which I thought was so touching when he kissed it before he put it away, and Heather actually sees it, and Heather's, you could tell she's kind of starting to get this idea of he's clearly not, still hurt from this. I should probably talk to him about this, her being the therapist and everything. But then more interestingly, you get that she's writing her next book. And what's her next book about? Vigilantes. And of course it is. And I think that her straight up asking Matt, do you think I could talk to Frank Castle? And Matt being like, I don't know about that. I thought it was funny. And she even brings up Daredevil and says, you've worked with him before. Is there any way that we could somehow get him? And, he's obviously visibly uncomfortable, but, kind of reluctantly agrees, whatever. And obviously, we get to the big stuff in the episode. This is one of the big Muse episodes where you see a new mural from him, which is hilarious. Of like, I think it's like Fisk like kissing the ass of a bull, which is $1. And you finally get the sanitation guy coming into Fisk telling him, hey, by the way, it's made out of human blood and I can't get it out. And then it becomes a huge fucking mess because the NYPD then has to come in. And I love the line that Fisk tells the police captain that hates him, where he says, if the sanitation guy finds a serial killer before the NYPD, that doesn't look good, so we can't let this get out. We have to kind of solve it internally as much as we can. And you can tell that Fisk is angry, not only because, the murals make him look bad, not only because he needs money for his port project that he's doing, but also he fucking hates these vigilantes. Even the fake mayor part of him that he's trying to hide, and he's trying to be this mayor person, both that version of him and the real Kingpin version of him hate these fucking vigilantes. And you can just tell, like, he's like, God damn it, another fucking masked person in the goddamn city pissing him off. It's excellent. And so Hector Ayala's niece, Angela, comes in and starts talking to Matt. I really liked their conversation as well, where she feels like she can go to Matt and kind of say, like, hey, listen, like, my uncle was investigating something. It has to do with all these people disappearing and these murals that are coming up. Like, and I love that Muse was both a problem for Daredevil and Fisk. Like, I thought that was interesting. And when she's, telling all of this to Matt, like, just looking for any remnants of help or any remnants of someone to be there for her, he just kind of says, look, I appreciate it and I'd love to help, but, like, I'm just a lawyer. I don't know what you want me to do. And she says, I want you to do literally anything. And it's almost like a self-aware dialogue for the audience who want to see him put the suit on. It's like, just do anything. And I love that he says, like, he mentions, like, you should probably just take this to the police. And she just says, the police killed my fucking uncle. Like, I'm not taking it to them, which leads to her obviously getting in trouble later, which we'll get to. But, as that episode continues, you see the gala, you see Matt struggling more with, just wanting to put the suit on, wanting to be Daredevil. And then you get kind of the come to Jesus moment where Cherry comes in and basically tells him the info he found, that there's been 60 murders, it seems like, which is insane. And you even see Muse get to kidnap 2 girls, and you later see them hanging in his goddamn lair. But, when Matt hears that news, he's obviously not thrilled. He goes home. But the thing that does it, the thing that puts him over the edge, the thing that actually gets him to put the suit back on is Hector's, it's his sister, either Angela's mom or Angela's aunt, Hector's wife, calls Matt and says, she hasn't been home. I can't find her. This is unlike her. Is there anything you can do? And you know it. As soon as he gets that call, you're like, oh, he's putting the fucking suit on. He's going out there. He's going to do it. And I love the choice of Matt just saying, fuck it, and going to put the suit on. I thought that was great. And I love the shot of him putting the horn of his old cowl on top of the funeral card for Foggy. That was very, poignant. It has meaning. I also think that seeing him in the suit obviously was great, but I think they could have cut out the little interlude of where he was swinging around to go there. I think it would have been great if we cut from that moment to him later when he's in the actual subway tunnel and then he beats the shit out of Muse and then stands up and you get that shot. I think that would have been a good first re-look at the suit. However, we got to talk about this fucking fight with Muse. Oh my God. When I had watched it the first time, when I'd gotten my screeners, I knew just from looking at the fight, I'm like, oh, Phil Cervera did this fight. And Phil Cervera, for those that don't know, is the stunt coordinator of season 1 and 2 of Daredevil, who they brought back to do some of all the fight scenes for what they hadn't shot yet. And I could tell immediately, I'm like, oh, this was reshot, and this is a Phil Cervera fight scene. And sure enough, in the credits of the episode, he's credited as one of the second unit directors. And I was like, I knew it. That has to be Phil. It was such an awesome fucking fight. It's the best fight in the show since the Bullseye fight in episode 1. And it might even be better than that fight, honestly. It was a kick-ass fight. And just seeing Muse not only obviously try to fight Daredevil, but just his main goal is he just still wants to kill Angela. And so he just keeps trying to kill her. Like, as he's fighting Daredevil, Matt keeps up and trying to save her. Everything with the Billy Club fighting. I also love whenever Daredevil fights and he obviously can't see, but he still knows when hits are coming. So like when Muse is coming behind him to hit him and he just catches it without looking, like that shit's awesome. I loved it. Oh, we have RL in the live chat. He says, this is the MCU I'm used to and been wanting. This is what Cap 4 should have been. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving the show as well, and I think that the Phil Cervera fight scene in episode 6 with Muse, I think, is excellent, and I've been really loving the show so far. If you're new here, welcome, and I'm a huge Daredevil fan. We're going to be doing these live streams after each episode. He also says peak fighting on both ends for Daredevil and KP. Shout out to Phil. Yes, to Phil Cervera. Absolutely shout out to Phil. As soon as I saw the fight start, I'm like, oh, this is a Phil fight. Oh, and you mean Kingpin. Yes, let's talk about that. Kingpin beats the ever-loving fuck out of Adam, and it's... you gotta help but feel a little bit bad for Adam. All he did was sleep with Vanessa. He probably didn't even know she was married at the time. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he did. But, and I like the misdirect they do with Fisk, where he goes down, and you are new here. Well, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you having here. Thank you, RL. And yes, on your comment, the acting is great. And going back to Fisk, though, when he goes down the stairs with that axe, part of you as an audience member, you're thinking like, oh shit, he's just going to kill Adam. Like, this is when we're going to see it. And he gives that little monologue, that little speech of, I used to fight people 3 times my size, and I later learned that just a simple weapon could be a great tool to even the playing field. And he just throws it to him, and you're like, oh fuck, he wants him to attack him so he can beat the shit out of him. And boy, does he. Dude, he's throwing his ass in the fucking ceiling, on the walls, just everywhere. And it's also intercut with the fight between Daredevil and Muse. And there's a great transition shot where Kingpin goes to headbutt Adam, and then it match cuts to Daredevil headbutting Muse, or it might be vice versa. But it's such a good match cut. I loved seeing it. And yeah, episode 6 is fire, guys. Obviously, I won't give anything away because I have seen the whole season. Episodes 7 through 9 are absolute bangers. Banger, banger, banger. You guys are not ready for what's coming at all, especially the finale episode. The finale episode is one of my favorite episodes of Daredevil, period, and I'm a diehard fan of the Netflix series. I'm trying to think of other things that happen in the episode that I don't want to miss out on. I really like the scene with Vanessa and Fisk when he's kind of getting ready to go to this gala, and she kind of goes with him, and you see the marriage, quote unquote, healing to in terms of like they're starting to like each other and love each other. She loves when he's a fucking crazy freak psycho. That's what she loves. And him being there and her just kind of comforting him through this time, and him talking about politics and how it's different than the world he's used to, but it's something he still has to try and do. And you get the little nod that he goes to put the coat on, and it rips. He's still getting bigger because we saw him eating secretly in the last episode, so he's getting back to that Kingpin size. And, of course, I got to talk about the anti-vigilante task force. We see it get created in this episode. And you get Officer Cole North, who's also from the comic books. You get the officer... oh my gosh, his name is leaving me, but the officer who Matt beats the hell out of in episode 2, he's on the task force as well. And you get that monologue from Fisk where everything is, he's like explaining how he's like, consider you the first people of my anti-vigilante task force, gives them their bulletproof vests and just kind of lets them know like no body cameras, we're going to take back the city, we're going to do it, which obviously comes into play later. RL also puts in the live chat, will there be a pivotal MCU cameo since you watched the whole season? So I don't want to give anything away. All I'll tell you is you've seen all of the cameos. You've seen them. Now, you may see other ones again that I won't give away, but you've seen all the ones that have happened. And now, granted, sometimes Marvel, when they send out these things, they leave a secret post-credit scene and, something they want to hide. I doubt it because I got to see the whole season, and there was a mid-credit scene in the finale episode that I saw that I'm obviously not going to give away. And that mid-credit scene was cool enough to where I'm like, I don't think they're hiding anything else because they probably would have hid this if that's what it was going to be. But no, you've seen all of the cameos that have happened, and but you may or may not see some of them pop up again. That's all I'll say. I will say, though, I think season 2, this is me speculating, I don't know anything. I think season 2 of Daredevil Born Again is going to be a lot more cameo heavy, but in a way that feels natural to the story. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything that you haven't seen yet, but where season 1 ends of Born Again, you immediately are like, I need season 2 ASAP, give it to me right now. And it's very much implied at the end of that season that they're going to need more people for help. And so naturally, they're probably going to go looking. That's where I'll leave it. I don't want to spoil anything or give too much away because, I feel the lasers of the Marvel snipers on me. I don't want to be killed by Kevin Feige. So there we go. But yeah, if you want to, you can check out the review for the whole season. It is on the channel. My partner who I do my podcast with, Nick, he also got access to the whole season, so you can see it. And you can watch the review there. So thank you for joining for that. Episodes 5 and 6, that's really kind of it with where we're at right now. Again, I have to bring up again the Muse fight. It was so good. It was so good. And I think that everything... God, you guys aren't ready for episodes 7, 8, and 9. You're not ready. They're so interesting and good. Now, I will say, something does happen next week. I'm not going to say what it is. Something does happen next week where there are going to be people who are upset about something. I'm not going to give away what it is. I think it worked perfectly for the story that they were telling, and people should not be upset. But there will be people who are upset, and when I come back on my after show, on my live spoiler discussion here to talk about it, we will talk about how there are probably some people upset about what happened. But I don't believe that would be the case. Or I don't believe that it was the wrong decision at all for what the show does. So, I've teased too much. But with that being said, guys, I thought episode 5 was decent. It was a bottle episode, but I really loved episode 6. You guys are going to love episode 7, 8, and 9. Thank you for everyone who joined the live chat. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this after your live, please comment your thoughts on episodes 5 and 6. I'd love to see what you guys thought and have a lot of fun there. Again, see you guys next week for episode 7. You guys aren't ready. Have a good one, guys.